There actually is one of the boxes. I mean, how they got up there, they used to be, I guess, small. There used to be a upstairs.
Hey, it's 5:30, time to call the meeting to order, please join us in the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have a couple of public hearings tonight. But before we get to that, is there anything that you guys would like to remove or change on the consent agenda? Okay, and moving on to the public hearings, is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and open the public hearing for resolution 5337?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Metersbaugh?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
All right, sir. Tonight's request is a 71.458 acre tract by legal description, identified on East Lot of Five Points Road by parcel ID 0520100005, count 0300837. Request is located in Section 20, Town 2, Range 5, Bedford Township. The request is from Township residents DR1 to suburban residents SR1. So the property is identified on our big Zoom TV. We are the hatched area that disappears. It's down there. So to the north you have R1 PUD, you have R1, SR1 to the east, you have SR1, TR1 to the south, you have TR1, and to the west you have SR1. So the property is a little bit off the map, but ultimately bring it up here. That's where we're looking at. And I'll bring this back up to the side. So this is from our land use plan. This is map 4 of the sewerable area. You see in the upper right-hand corner, you have the green area, which is Montgomery County sewerable area, and I have hatched in red where this parcel is located. We have this in the planning area 1, which was an area that anticipated having sanitary sewer, and the time that individuals would actually develop their land with that infrastructure. And then we have the land use plan, 2005, and we colored that property in that butter yellow color, anticipating a suburban residential classification. And in 2005, the open space rural residential classification, the township residential, and the suburban residential classifications were created. And the rezoning, mass rezoning occurred, but ultimately we had with the property south of Lot of 5 Points, since the sewer area does not follow a property boundary, there was a thought at that point we should have all those properties be locked into a TR1 classification. At a future point when sanitary sewer is figured out for that furthest reach, then individuals would come in by parcel and ask for a zone change. So the property to the west, the 100-acre tract, came through in 2017 and received an SR1 classification. When this went before Warren County Regional Planning, they said to approve the request. It's an odd way of saying that they approved the request. Yeah. And then this went through the zoning commission. They also made a recommendation to approve based upon it meeting the land use plan and regional planning's approval of the request, plus the surrounding area of having suburban residential south of the Light of 5 Points area. So just to give a thumbnail for individuals who are here this evening who may have not been present before, a TR1 is an 1.5 acre lot size, regardless if you have sanitary sewer or not. An SR1 is an acre lot size if you do not have sanitary sewer. If you do have sanitary sewer, it's a 1/2 acre lot size, 100-foot width lots. So that is the request before you this evening. The applicant does have a presentation, but I can answer any questions before we go down.
Okay. You have any questions for Jeff before we hear the applicant? Who's our spokesman this evening? If you would, state your name since we're recording this.
Adam Sweeney, Design Home, 8534 Yankee Street. Good evening, and it's a pleasure being here tonight. As most of you are aware, I'm Adam Sweeney, and I'm the Development Manager for Design Homes. Design Homes is pleased to have the opportunity to present before the trustees tonight its request for the zone change of 70 acres on Lot of 5 Points to SR1. Design Homes has been a responsible corporate citizen in Clear Creek Township for over 30-plus years, having developed projects resulting in over $100 million in improvements in Clear Creek Township. We are very proud of the quality of our developments and believe they have been a positive for the community. Tonight I have with me our attorney Dave Reed and our engineer of record Steve Lyle. They will be presenting this evening our SR1 request and its consistency with both the master plan and the zoning resolution. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah, is it just the middle one?
It's going to be the right or the left.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, hello again.
Be sure to state your name first.
Yeah, my name is Dave Reed. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Capps, Tinius & Hollister, 40 North Main Street, Suite 1700, Dayton, Ohio, 45423. I'm here on behalf of Clark Ventures to speak about our rezoning proposal for the 71.45 acres on Lila Five Points Road. I've been before you before, so I won't give you the entirety of my background, but I'll remind you that I have 30 years of experience in zoning and land use law. You may recall, I know you all see a lot of different matters, but Clark Ventures owns the 101 acres to the west, the adjacent 101 acres to the west of this property. Back in 2017, we requested that some of the acreage of that 101 acre tract be rezoned to R1A and that the balance be SR1. R1A has a more dense zoning than SR1. You chose to rezone it all to SR1 and not R1A. You know, honestly, this was a disappointment for us. We had thought that the R1A was appropriate, particularly given the adjacent densities, but we accepted the SR1 without any further challenge. What we're now requesting is simply that the 71 acres adjacent to our existing SR1 be rezoned in the same way. This would bring uniform zoning to our land and make it a lot easier to develop. We respectfully request that you approve our application based on our having met 5 separate standards. First of all, our rezoning proposal is consistent with responsible land planning. It's entirely supported by your master plan. It allows for environmentally sound sewer management. As has been stated, both the Warren County Regional Planning Commission as well as your zoning commission have unanimously, without exception, recommended approval. So in going through these standards, obviously 4 and 5 will be very quick, but in terms of more the first 3, when you look at your township, the northern area is the most developed and the most dense. As you move south, the land becomes progressively less dense as you move through the township. This is reflected in a number of places, but one place that's very tangible is in your existing zoning map. And there's really 3 distinct districts. The densely zoned area to the north, which practically speaking is the yellow and the red and those darker areas. Then the medium density subdivisions are in the middle area, which have really turned into the dark green and the white areas. Those are more the middle density subdivisions. And then really the majority of your, or at least compared to the other 3 districts, most of your land is in the low density area, which is the light green to the south. When you focus on our land, which I've circled and referred to as the subject parcel, it's kind of that small piece up to the right, you can see that it is adjacent to the high density zoning area. So rezoning it to SR1 would allow for a logical transition from the village of Winding Creek to the north, which is much more dense, through our land to Cypress Ridge, which actually has the same zoning density as what we're proposing. To the north, to get a little bit of specifics, the village of Winding Creek, which you can see in red over there,
has 3.44 net lots per acre. And the Warren County portion actually has just 65 feet as far as frontage per lot, so it's very dense. Also to the north is other land that is zoned SR1, and then, like I said, to the south is Cypress Ridge, which has the R1 zoning, and that's 1 acre lots if it has no sewer, 1/2 acre if it has sewer, which would be akin to SR1. A closer blow-up shows that the majority of the boundaries of the subject property are already contiguous to SR1 property. So our rezoning request is consistent with surrounding land uses and densities. Just contextually, a leading zoning treatise, which is often referred to in the planning world, puts it this way: evidence that surrounding land use is more intense than the subject property supports rezoning to comparable density and use categories, which is really exactly our situation. Otherwise, the municipality, or in this case a township, runs the risk of its actions being viewed as arbitrary and unreasonable. This gets us to our request. This slide highlights our property now in yellow, so you can see that the proposed rezoning fits with the surrounding zoning. So really, for the first criteria that I identified, our request is consistent with recognized responsible land planning. Moving to the second criteria, that's your master plan, which supports this rezoning. We did it visual here. This is map 10 from your master plan, and it shows that our property is in the northern tier. It shows it up there. Northern tier is the same as planning area number 1, which is the most dense area. To get specific about with what your master plan says about it, it says the northern tier is an area where a commitment exists for the provision of public sanitary sewer at some point in the foreseeable future. It also is an area that is already either substantially developed or where approval commitment for future development has already taken place. Thus, the future character of the northern tier has already largely been established. Our proposed SR1 is consistent with the northern tier, as contemplated by your master plan. In fact, SR1 is a low density category of zoning compared to other uses that you've already approved in the northern tier. Your master plan also calls for a logical pattern of development between the planning areas, which makes a lot of sense. Specifically, it states that the policy is to encourage a logical pattern of residential development in the designated urban service areas that transition from urban density to rural density. And that's where I was highlighting at the beginning how it's the more dense areas and we are part of a logical transition. So our proposal is fully within the stated goals of the master plan. So third, I just do want to focus on as far as the third basis, that our zoning proposal is in line with environmentally sound sewer management. Sewer management, as you're probably aware, has become increasingly important for local governments, particularly those that are primarily residential like yourself. The more reliance on septic, the higher the risk. I won't read those quotes, but just to summarize that the EPA recognizes that concern, and in multiple writings that it has out there with recommendations to local government, it encourages sewer over septic. So EPA's position is very clear that when available, sewer is preferred for environmental purposes. Your master plan also points out septic risks based on soil conditions specific to Clear Creek Township. As you can see, and I think Jeff brought this up, our land is in the sewer service area shown in your master plan. That's the green area. Specifically, we're within the Sugar Creek Facilities Planning area. This also coincides, not coincidentally, with the higher density northern tier, which we've mentioned is recognized in your master plan. Your master plan further provides that in the immediate future, and it's a number of years old, but in the immediate future, New residential development will be concentrated in the northern and central areas of the township where sewer service either exists or is planned, which is exactly our land. I'm not suggesting there should not be any septic. You know, obviously that's not workable either, but just that your master plan recognizes certain areas in the north as areas which benefit from sewer lines. So in terms of sewer and its relationship to residential development, your master plan further supports our application. We've already mentioned that there was unanimous recommendation by regional planning, same with your zoning commission. I'm going to pass on this right now. We're prepared to respond to any questions that come up concerning traffic. Now, this is rezoning, and traffic issues are really not, this is not really a forum for that, but we do want to say that we have given some issue to that if questions arise. So I'll table that to be respectful of your time.
Okay.
And then that's just going through it again. I won't read it again, but I articulated the onset 5 criteria, which we feel we've met. We've got a team here ready to respond to any questions that you have, dig a little deeper, if that would be helpful to you all.
Thank you very much. Any questions for Mr. Reed before we have them? Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. Any comments from anyone in the audience? The process will take comments during the public hearing, and then we will close the public hearing, reopen the regular meeting, and we will vote on the issue. Yes, ma'am, if you would come forward and state your name.
Hi,
Hi.
my name's Colin Penquite. I live in Lytle. And I would like to know what the required green space is on 71 acres.
With this zoning, Jeff, I think there really is no required.
Yes, since it's not a planned development, there's not a requirement for open space. The property owner has the ability to add that as part of their subdivision, but it's not a requirement. Just because of the zoning classification being a street zone.
When, in their last come through, when they came through, they had some green space in there, but they also had a lot more lots, and some cluster homes. It was a different development. And that was something that we turned down, much of the reason because of the density. So when you move to this other zoning, you don't have the opportunity to require that. We don't have the opportunity.
Homeowners have the green space.
So it's just because there's no cluster, but not much. I understand what you're saying. Thank you. Good question. Anybody else have any comments? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to close?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just previously, there was all for this, and then again, is it all one thing now at this point?
Come on.
Yeah, you need to.
Sure.
You need to say who you are. Sorry.
Okay. I'm Ed Barassi. I live at 8560 Black Oak Court. You're welcome. Thank you for having us. It's nice to be in person. I know we've had to do a lot of these virtually, and it's nice to get back to some level of normalcy. It's real or fake, however you want to look at it. So, again, I think the community, and there's members of the community here that are in adjacent or very close to adjacent properties. Our concern is not to develop or not to develop. It's how to develop. I think we were here in April looking at a plan that was denied, and I think that sent a clear message. I would like you to continue to send that same message. I believe that the way it's currently zoned is the most appropriate in terms of a density issue. What I heard from the earlier presentation is back in 2017, we were looking for even more density in the adjacent property, and it seems like that compromise was to change to the lower acreage. I don't want that decision to influence this decision, as well as future decisions. I think we all know that all of that land will eventually be developed, and I'm all for it. But how is it going to be developed, right? And again, I think that Lytle 5 Points is the natural buffer in the community. We already have all of that density.
Transition area.
Absolutely. So I think, I think that the community would like to see that, the zoning of this property to stay the same, and homes to be built on the acre-and-a-half lot, which we believe is more in line with the master plan, to keep that rural feel. That's a statement that is written throughout the master plan, and I don't see how all of these densities match with a rural feel.
But their request is for fewer homes than they had in the last one.
Correct, but still significant density for that area. So I believe it's about as low with sewer as they can go. I mean,
It's the largest lots for sewer lots. So a half-acre lot size is the largest for...
So on 70 acres, we're talking 140 homes then?
No. The numbers say 122 if it's fully serviceable by septic. And correct me if I'm wrong, but is that entire parcel serviceable by sewer? Excuse me, not septic.
Yeah, the 70 acres is entirely...
Is it? Okay.
So that's significant density for that area. I understand that it's less than what they were asking for before.
Right.
But I think your denial of that plan shows that that was, not in line with what we're doing.
well, they also didn't care for the cluster homes. I'll call them cluster, that's not the right word.
We are in complete agreement. But again, I think,
We led them, I feel like that I certainly said, okay, let's go to, and we didn't say the word, but let's get something in here that is the lowest density that the zoning will allow with sewers. And I think that's what they've done.
and again, my concern is that we don't know that, right? So this is the first step
I think we
into,
do know.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
well, I mean, we haven't seen a plan though, so we're not sure
Well,
exactly.
we know what the maximum is that they're gonna be allowed to put in there. Now, if they choose not to and put some green space in, that will come along at a later stage. But we know with this is rezoned, that it's going to be very much accurate at that 122 lots. That's gonna be very close. Now, maybe it's 121.
Sure, absolutely.
But, and then if they decide to put some green space in there, which I wouldn't be surprised, they'd need, that's up to them as a developer. All we can do is set the zone for them, as what we put the lowest houses per acre that we can get.
But leaving the zone as is would still allow them,
They'd have, but it would allow them lots of other things too. Yeah. No, I understand.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Yes,
Can I ask another question?
yes, ma'am.
Don't we come up there?
Yeah, sorry.
I need to get my steps in.
Thank you.
So the green space is left up to the developer, not up to the township.
It is, and this,
In this
that's
classification,
not the one. Where we had the PUD, we had the ability to, say that they had to put 25%.
Yeah, there was a minimum of 25%. They had 38% in their previous request.
Thank you.
Okay, yes, come on up.
Go ahead.
Hello, I'm Richard Pettigrew, 2395 East Lido 5 Points Road, the next houses down across the lot. My question is just what kind of homes are they gonna be? Are they gonna be single-family homes, no double stuck in
There
there?
won't be any doubles, there won't be single family.
Okay.
Well, they haven't bought that to us, but
Well, no, the zoning classification will allow for single-family detached.
Single-family detached.
One home per
that's
apartment.
all they can do.
Okay. That was,
Now,
that was.
size, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Is that-
minimum size is 1,250 square feet.
That's the minimum.
Minimum.
Okay.
I'm sure.
That's the dwelling itself.
No, I wouldn't
Yeah.
think so, because even Winding Creek, they're
Right,
bigger than
right.
that, smashed in,
Sure.
so. Okay, that clears up one question. I'm gonna support the group here, obviously, I would love to see it stay the way it is currently zoned, just because of, I'm gonna say it, and everybody's gonna cringe here and wanna talk about it, increased traffic. I mean, 5 to 7 o'clock, I can't even walk to my mailbox anymore. And I'm also just concerned about the road usage, the traffic there. And I'm also gonna agree, we know there's gonna be homes there. We know that. And we don't wanna stop the building process, but I'd just like to encourage everyone to keep in mind, it is a township, it is a great setting, it's a great place to live, but let's be practical in our decisions, because what we do there is also gonna determine what happens here.
To the east.
Yep.
No,
And,
we understand.
yeah, so, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I had a rough day today. My name is Doug Burkett, and I live at 8576 Black Oak Court in Cypress Ridge. And I have 2 lots down there, right at, if I may point those out. Right here, I own both of these. And I've been to all the zoning meetings, as many meetings as I can go to. And we've had quite a few participants within Cypress Ridge get together and express their same concern, is that they want to keep it a rural type community like Cypress Ridge, where there's a room between the houses and there's vegetation and trees and so forth. Okay? I think that's our big concern, is that we saw a couple of the zoning plot plans that had what I call condos and things like that, therefore unit buildings and so forth. And I'm concerned because that big section there that's right behind me, even though it's been rezoned, and we're talking about the next one, it sets up about 30 or 40 feet above my property, and it goes downhill. And I get a considerable amount of water runoff, as does Ed and a few of the other neighbors there. And we're concerned that if this thing is not done properly, if we just start, putting in the maximum number of homes that we can get in there for profit, then we're going to start forgetting the community around them. And the next thing you know, we're going to have water issues and so forth. Right now, all that water runs on my property. And I had to put a French drain in just to keep it away from my septic system and then run it into the house and so forth. I'd like for you folks to consider that, because I want that corrected. I don't want to end up in a big lawsuit, so this is the time that I wanted to just express my opinion, so let's see, take under advisory. Again, we're not opposed to building, just try to do it correctly and give us something we would be proud of. So that's all we're asking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hey, well, would anyone like to address the engineering on the water? Yes, sir. You would. Always an issue whenever you build. You guys have been through it before.
Steve Lyle from the Ranky Group, 63 Road Center Drive in Somerville. Wanted to address a couple things that have come up here. One was the number of lots that we could potentially get on the 70 acres. As part of the previous submittal, we submitted a net density plan, which was where you try and show as many conforming lots on the property as possible. And in doing so, it just so happened that the boundary line was at the 70 acres, so I could count how many lots we had on there. On that plan, I had 113 lots, and that doesn't account for stormwater ponds and easements for storm drainage and some other things that take away from your density. And it had a lot of streets too, so it wasn't how we'd end up developing. I think you'd probably end up with somewhere around 100 lots maybe, tops. And there was another point that you might be setting a precedent by going with SR1 here for the surrounding properties. And as Jeff had shown, the service area stops.
Right.
70 acres is it. So you can't go further south, and it's not an arbitrary line. It's because the ground spec's fallen away and the sewer will start coming out of the ground. So unless at some point in the future the county would decide they want to do lift stations and redo the tri-county agreement, I don't see sewer happening outside of the service area right now. We're kind of it. And as far as the water drainage, you know, we have to get all our plans approved through the county, and we have to adhere to the county drainage standards. When you farm property, it has pretty high runoff compared to especially half-acre lots, because all the grass is going to have less runoff than cultivated rows. So, and in addition, we're going to have water quality ponds wherever the water exits. So I can definitively say the water situation is going to be better with the development than it is now with farms. With farms, you're really just trying to get the water off as fast, you know, efficiently, and you know, it's a different philosophy than when you have a development. So I think that's about, well, you know, I know people are concerned about traffic. We're not talking about it too much, and I know that, you know, adjacent traffic can be a concern for people, but I did want to point out that I did, based on my 113 lot net density, figured out how many at the peak hour in the morning and the night would either be leaving or coming in, you know, the biggest number. So in the morning, this is according to the Institute for Traffic Engineers, in the morning we'd have 67 cars going out in an hour, so averaging one car every 54 seconds. And in the peak evening hour coming in, there would be 77 cars, so one every 47 seconds average, of course, but point is, it's not a huge amount of traffic. So, with that, thank you, unless you have any other questions.
Okay. Does anybody else have any questions they'd like to ask Mr. Chairman? Yes.
Hi, I'm Peggy Clark. I live right across from the property at 2274 East Line 5 Points. We are the farmer. And our concern, and I mean, we sold the land to design homes, and so we knew it was going to be developed. That's not the issue, but are the trustees going to protect our rights as already being there? We have 6 semi-trucks that's going to add to the traffic. It's already there.
Right.
Right now, we run our grain dryer 24 hours a day. We've already had several complaints about that. The sheriff usually stops in once a year. He says, I got a complaint, I have to answer it, continue on, you know. And so I'm just asking you, what kind of protection are you going to give us that we're already there?
Well, it's not going to change. We can't make laws to change that, by the way. But the Ohio Revised Code has some protections in there for you. I can't quote them or anything, but farmers certainly have rights. And we're not going to do anything to change any of that. And I can pretty much assure you, as long as these 3 are here, running your dryer bin's not going to be a problem.
We had some friends over by Eaton who the trustees shut them down. They had to start at 8 o'clock and end at 8 o'clock with the grain dryer, and that's a real hindrance.
No, you can't do that. That's not.
No, we pick all day, and we have to dry all night in order to pick the next day. So
make room to haul. And
I just wanted to get your feel as trustees.
I just spoke for all 3 of you, and I can't imagine them.
I think you were very eloquent in what you said. I'll speak for me. My family's been farming in this community for over 100 years.
We have to.
I understand that challenge, but also understand that this as development happens, people aren't used to the types of things that we in the country are used to. So there's certainly an adjustment period.
Absolutely, as you can see with the lack of patience that people are driving when they're going down the road. My goodness.
They pass us on the right and under, my husband even on the sprayer had 2 cars go under him. And that's a little bit unnerving. So, we just,
I have, you know what I do, and I have claims all the time where people run in, try to pass them and run into the equipment. It's ridiculous.
and they don't even know what they're passing. Because we had a sheriff run us down one time and said, this girl said that some big green thing hit me, you know, and she doesn't, so it's going to be a little bit of a urban rural interface there along Light of High Points Road. And
You're right.
we'll try to do our best, but we just want to know that we have somebody covering us.
Well, I can assure you, we'll do the best we can to make sure that your rights are upheld and the history that you've got going there can be continued.
Thank you.
All of us live on farms.
Yeah.
One thing I was gonna mention,
And also not as big as hers, but
Yeah.
they still have to get down the road.
for sure. We've had some issues, down near, Pekin Road, Bell Terrace, the last several years. Forever, there's never been a problem, but, in the last couple of years, particularly that one lot at the corner of Bell Terrace, the farm just washes, you know, corn stalks and, I mean, to where it flooded his garage, flooded his yard, you know, 2 or 3 times, and I think that poses more of an issue for you guys than a development would, with the yards and the grass and gutters and things like that. But again, that's just one item that we're talking about, but there's potential problems with farms too.
I would also tell you that they have to follow the rules of the county engineer's office. And we do not, well, let me rephrase that. We cannot tell the county engineer what to do. He does not work for us. And he does not pay much attention to us. Just the way it is. He's a great guy and, but they do the things to their specifications and guidelines. And, they will, if they do that and they don't work, they will try to come in and get with the developer and try to correct that. But that is an issue over the years that we've had to contend with, and because we don't have any power over it. All we can do is say, come on, come up here and take a look at this. What you designed is not working. Now, he doesn't have to do a damn thing to help us. But most of the time he tries.
And there is recourse. I'll use my own example. I sold 55 acres along with my family of my family farm that was developed into 1.5 acre septic, and then the plan was not followed out the way it should have been. There was some ownership on both sides, but it was corrected, and it was corrected very well to the happiness of the adjacent properties.
The drainage
itself, the EPA got involved. I mean, there's recourse that we will make sure happens if there's any issues. We can help that. To Ed's point, we can't tell the engineer what to do. But if it's something that, and Mr. Palmer is very, he is the original. I mean, we, essentially, and I say we, Mr. Ray was the only one on the board at the time, we hired Mr. Palmer based on the villages of Winding Creek. That's why he was hired. That first came about in the mid-90s. So he has followed this all the way along. He is also not our township, but he is a township resident, so he understands that side of it too.
It is an issue. We get it, and we'll do our best to help you whenever we can. But I just wanted to let you know that when we say something, they don't necessarily jump.
No, but they've been receptive to some suggestions that, I mean, on the roundabout there at 122 and Township Line, instead of the high concrete boundaries, they went with the slants so that our trucks can go around and not have to worry about busting a tire, or our tractor tires, you know, that helps.
We just had somebody come over there.
You know, but he was very receptive to sitting and listening to us.
Oh, no, he is. He's very good, don't get me wrong, but push comes to shove, he does,
He doesn't, yeah.
he does the best. But he tries his best. Anything else before we close the public hearing? Okay, is there a motion to close the public hearing and reopen our regular meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Any discussion, gentlemen, between ourselves here that you would like to do or say? If not, then I'm going to ask for a motion to approve or deny resolution 5337.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Thank you all very much for coming.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Okay, we do have another public hearing, so we're going to ask for a motion to recess the regular meeting and open the next public hearing for resolution 5338.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Okay, sir. The purpose of this public hearing is for a streetlight district, statute for the legacy lighting streetlight district, dispensing with the second reading. This is new subdivision off State Route 741. They're ready to go forward and establish their streetlights. Of that, I believe they had 9 fixtures across 31 accessible lots. So that is the purpose of tonight. The property owner has been applicant, she signed, I got her email call in response to our advertising for the lots. With that, I can answer questions if you have.
Have any questions for Mr. Coleman?
I'm a little confused as this is this not the cart before the horse?
So they've gone through their final plat, and as part of the final plat, they established a petition for a streetlight district.
Okay.
So they then get with Duke Energy, in the southern part of the jurisdiction, say, hey, this is where I'm going to put the lights. They work out what the costs are going to be for initial installation and what anticipated maintenance will be.
Okay.
We have to, as a jurisdiction, say, yes, you now have the ability to form a district so that each property owner, based on the location they are to the light, would have an equal representation to pay for those streetlights.
It feels like it's still not to the point where it would be that maybe I'm not.
Well, yeah, I've signed the final plat, so they're moving along, they're just.
Okay, any other questions? Or a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Okay, we'll close the public hearing.
Yeah,
Back to
back in
our
the-
regular meeting.
Yeah, back in the resolution.
And now I'd like to have a motion, or entertain a motion to approve or deny resolution 5338 and dispense with the second reading.
38.
38.
38, yeah.
Okay, guys. I will move to approve resolution 5338.
Thank you.
Second?
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay.
Excuse me.
Okay, moving on to fiscal business.
I really don't have anything for you, just till we get the budget.
Anything under public comment?
They all just love.
No public comments. Okay, under new business administration, we have resolution 5339. Resolution declaring property as surplus and approving the internet auction, direct sale, donation, and so on and so forth, and dispensing for the second reading. Anybody have any questions about this?
Selling them over and buying it, trading it in to buy another.
Yeah.
That's the recommendation, that's not the resolution.
Yeah, the resolution is,
Oh, yeah, it said it.
Pay attention.
declaring the items. Okay, motion to approve 5339.
So moved.
Second, Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Municipal. Yay. Mr. Yay. And now we have a resolution to trade in a surplus John Deere mower and purchase a new mower at an additional cost of $7,930. Ryan, I guess the other one's just time for it to go.
Yeah, Shoney's got him on a cycle where he trades them in. He gets his best money at low hours. I think it's like 2 or 3 years, so
So we're getting a $16,000 mower for,
$18,000.
$18,000, so,
Yeah.
really for around $14,000.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
Not that great deal. It's a pretty good deal. Say the least. Anybody have any questions about this trade-in? There's a motion to approve the trade-in and get the new mower.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Musical. Yay. Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wood.
Yay. And then we have Resolution 5340, a resolution approving permanent budget appropriations for the year 2022.
Yes, sir, this is, I'm pinch hitting for Matt here since he's not here today, but the budget is, before you, it takes into account a number of items. It has about $642,000 worth of repaving scheduled for next year, in addition to the rest of the money that's in the budget for all the other road work that you see before it. If there's any questions, please let Matt or I know, and we'll have another opportunity. You're going to actually, will there be a motion to approve this resolution in this meeting, but then you can also, if there's any issues, we can change it at the second meeting.
Okay, any questions about 5340? Well, I hope that the price to resurface doesn't keep going up. The oil price.
I heard it's gonna be high.
I know, that 600,000 is gonna get us what we used to be able to do with 250,000.
Getting close to concrete.
I got a plan for that to go higher.
All right.
Uh-huh.
Good. Yeah, tar and chip, so, hey.
They got a plan.
Back in the old days, we did a lot of tar and chip.
There you go. I got a plan. It includes that and a top coat.
My road was always tar and chip. Actually, most everything was all we had. You didn't have, you could get a road done, a mile done for about $1,300. I think it came today, but that's what it was back then.
I've looked into it for
But they
key
they still had buggies. Road was cheap. Yes, sir.
They're writing for you, Steve.
From the beaches of Aruba, he comes back with dirt, it's cheap.
Exactly.
We got a bunch.
Yeah, we got plenty of that. Right now.
Anyway, I guess we need to vote on 5340.
Well, you just read it, Mr. Wade, you're going to actually vote on it,
Okay.
second reading, yeah.
All right.
So you're good.
All right, we're good. Okay. We're gonna do that at the second reading. Okay, moving on to planning and
Just consent agenda, sir.
consent agenda, please. Everything. Fire district consent agenda, anything else, Steve? You guys can go on. No? Police district? Made its home safe from the Uber and did that.
Few less pigs down there, but other than that, it's all good.
Roads and parks?
No.
Nothing new? All right. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsclaw?
Yay. Staff updates.
Nothing that I was told to bring to your attention. I can answer questions.
I guess Matt's down at the school getting smarter.
Yeah. So
In New Orleans.
down in New Orleans at a conference. So yeah,
Too bad.
some people get all the fun.
Yeah, really.
Congratulations, I'll throw one in, congratulations to my fellow trustees on reelection for 4 more years.
Congratulations.
And to our veteran, I didn't realize we had that many veterans on the fire department. How many do we have police?
3, I think.
Okay, that is awesome.
And I did want to point out, we recently got a $5,500 check back from Horton, who we bought our new medic from, because we didn't finance it. We were able to invest the money, and we got a rebate.
Nice.
A lot more money than we would have earned. we do it.
Yeah.
So,
Good.
Wow, that's a
That is
good.
good.
Nice job.
Very good, very good.
Nicely done. Anything else to come for the